Hello and welcome to the AGS walkthrough of Apprentice II. From what I've heard, some of you people would like for me to actually narrate in some of these things, which, frankly, I can't understand that. How on earth would you want to hear my voice? It's my voice, really bad one in my opinion. Oh well. Anyway, every Tuesday I'll be putting up a narrated version of my video, the one that I just put out on Monday. And this will be my first one for Apprentice II, Knight's Move. If you haven't seen the original Apprentice game, you're not going to actually fully understand all of these things. There are some inside jokes and a few references to the original game, where I do not show them in this video, mainly because, again, AGS walkthrough is just supposed to be a quick walkthrough, not featuring everything, not showing off everything, like I had done with my Ben Jordan 2 video. In my opinion, just looking at everything, talking to everybody, that wasted a lot of time and didn't add a whole lot to the game. Furthermore, these are actually being done without permission by the game makers. I figure that because the games are free, it's okay to be doing this. And also, I really do want you to try playing the game for yourself. I have tried making a game in the past, and believe me, it's a lot more work than I had imagined it to be. And in the end, I ended up failing, because I really did not have the skills to do such a thing. So, yes, please support the official release. I have included the download link in the description. And while you're there, check out some of the other games that have been made. In fact, if you have some suggestions on some games that I could show you, then by all means, let me know. And, of course, I have been talking over this whole introduction. Now, what it is at this point is that Pib, the magician, has actually been having dreams in the previous one that his father is Lord Ironcrow. Lord Ironcrow, whom you will see pretty soon, is a very warmongering type individual who seems to want to go to war just for the sake of war. And sorry about the pause, I just couldn't think of anything to say there. So watching this one, like when he mentions, if you don't mind the spiders, again, that's kind of an inside joke. If you play the original Apprentice game or watch my walkthrough of it, you'll better understand what he's talking about. Well, and on a side note, it's kind of odd, because last night I actually had a dream about spiders. Some weird spider ant things that were crawling all over my wall and making a spiral nest on it. Oh well. That's not important right now. Yep, he set fire to his own village. You know, it's actually pretty interesting the way that this village works it out, that you have to be unemployed and homeless to be drafted into the military. Now, in a way, I can actually see that as being something that's worthwhile. Give them something to do. Maybe get them some income, too. Help them get them back on their feet. And of course, here we have Lord Ironcrow, supposedly Pib's father. My guess is that if this is Pib's father, then, well, Pib takes more after his mother, seeing that Lord Ironcrow has brown hair. Ooh, look at that. The magician actually does have some kind of powers. In the previous one, you get references to him having some kind of power, but you never actually see him showing off any of his powers. You know, one of those things where you question if it was, does he really have powers, or is it like some of those monks with the old levitation trick? where that staff that they're holding onto actually conceals a seat that is covered by his robes. Same trick was used for over 2,000 years. So here we are with the actual game starting. And unlike the first game, there's actually a lot to do up here. And yeah, the first time I took this, I forgot to take the coppers. I thought that as soon as you saw the coppers, you just take them. Also, this picture that you took, you may notice is a blue cup. This is kind of a running gag or a tradition of games made in AGS, in which you'll almost always run into the big blue cup. I don't know exactly why this is. It has something to do with the fact that AGS forums are called Big Blue Cup. But again, I'm not entirely sure where the tradition got started. And now you talk to your master wizard. You know, again, this makes me question just what are his powers? Like, what can he do and what can he not do? I mean, here you are with this wizard trying to plant a garden. And in all of these depictions of wizards that I've seen, they've always had some kind of super grow formula for the plants. You know, you'd think that all you have to do is pour on a little bit of his super grow formula and voila, you have a garden that could easily pass for a forest. But nope, he never does that. He just sits there gardening. I don't know, maybe he likes gardening. I like gardening well enough, but the plants really don't do well here out in the desert. So, yeah, occasionally I'll get a zucchini plant that grows pretty decent zucchinis. Tomato plants do okay. Onions are alright, I guess. Anyway, let's move on. Now, something that if you weren't listening too much to me and were paying attention to the text, where they mention that this is like a chess game, that actually was the developer's original idea. Just like the idea of this being the knight's move. Well, the sequel that never came out was supposed to be called Checkmate. So yeah, they did intend to have some kind of chess theme in this whole game series, but again, the third game just never came out. And here's where we get our actual quest to become a wizard. Now, when they mention the Academy, I kind of wonder, would the Academy have been better for Pib than just apprenticeship? Now, I know that apprenticeship was the normal way of actually learning a skill back then, but the Academy just sounds like it would have given him more of a variety of teachers, and frankly, a more competent teacher. So now we've got our 3 tasks that we want to have. You know, now you have to get rid of the rats in the bakery. Which, really, it sounds more like a job for an exterminator, not a wizard. And yes, you have to make a golem. That sounds like it's a job for a wizard. And now, of course, you have to win at the centaur races. Again, not really a job for a wizard, more a job for a professional gambler. So, of course, now we can go down the path and start the game for real. And what the real draw to this game was supposed to be is that you can finally leave the wizard's house and explore the land more thoroughly. So, of course, here we are, and our first location is the docks. Which, when I first played this, I had to do some searching to actually realize that the docks were separate from the village. Oh yeah, diving machine isn't that obvious. So his real name is Mortimer. You know, Mickey Mouse's name was originally going to be Mortimer. Disney's wife had suggested instead of Mortimer, call him Mickey. And believe it or not, some years after the invention of Mickey, they came out with a short called Mickey's Rival, which created Mortimer Mouse. If you watch The House of Mouse, he got more prominence there. And of course, everything that I've talked to her about right now, this was actually necessary to continue the game. So, the way that this game works is that you need to know about your quest before you can actually start gathering things for your quest, before you can actually work on your quest, perhaps. And yeah, this does take a little bit of pixel hunting to find the exact pieces that you need, but you do need to take the gear, and you do need to take the pincers here. Now we can go in and meet her father. And so, of course, try to take the potion. So here's a fisherman who doesn't apparently fish, he just sits there smoking. So now we want that special potion. Now, I want to know, do any of you actually know what grog really is? I've heard variations on it. The two most believable ones were that it's a highly sugared rum, or B, it was distilled from limes and was used to fight off scurvy. I mean, I don't know which one of those is true. I, of course, do not believe in the Monkey Island version, where you have stuff like kerosene, battery acid, and or pepperoni. And no, I do not know the whole recipe that they mention. And really, I don't believe in this one either, where you're using seawater to make grog. I mean, though when it comes down to stuff like you have rum and lemon in it, yeah, I could believe that it might have rum and lemon in it. So really, do any of you know what grog really consisted of? I'm just curious. Now here's the, one of those inside jokes where she mentions that you are the sandwich thief. Watch her play the original one to find out more about that. I'm not going to spoil it here. Now, actually, in this particular part where she's wanting to, she's wanting to join into the draft, I could see that, yeah, they could actually use her. And, to be honest, I've always thought that it's not actually fair that only men have to sign up for the draft. That's kind of an ancient belief that the more, should I say, spears that you have, the better your chance at winning the war. Well, I personally don't think that's actually the way it's supposed to be. And then there's that whole idea, equal everything. Well, if everything's supposed to be equal, then that means either men don't have to sign up for the draft or women have to sign up for the draft. Fair is fair. Now here's where the first major challenge that I ran into pops up in the game. Getting back to the game, of course. See, you actually do have to leave that on the desk. I had so many problems figuring that one out. I was usually just give it back to her. And that's just not what you're supposed to do. And then, of course, when I try to put it on the desk, because you kind of have to pixel hunt there, I tended to give it back to her again. So that was difficult on me. But I finally got it. Now here's a character, Lloyd, whom you did meet in the first game. And really, I would very much like to know this character's backstory. Ugh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyway, it's like you get, if you keep talking to him, you'll get a little bit of information about what happens, or what triggers his transformations. But, in truth, you never actually find out, you know, why is he a shapeshifter? Why does he change so much? You know, what is he originally? Maybe these were things that would have come out in the third game had it ever appeared. Yeah, and once again, with this whole thing with releasing Lloyd, it's still that pixel hunting. The worst part to this pixel hunting is that the game was actually made in 300 by 200 something pixels. So it's incredibly small unless you alter your screen's resolution. Which makes things hard on you, because you really do have to hunt for those pixels. The other thing about this game is that I notice a lot of the things here, you just kind of walk around and pick them up. And I guess that makes more sense than anything. Just walking around and picking them up rather than creatively making your own. But, I don't know, I think that it would be more fun to make your own molasses or find a way, a more creative way to find bellows. Oh yes, here we are at the most frustrating puzzle in the game. Believe me, so many people were asking about this on the forums, and I only found out the solution because I started writing it down because I was going to put down every possible combination. Then I saw this little pattern here. Now, whatever it is, I chooses, so pocket 1 is always pocket 3, pocket 2 is always pocket 4, pocket 3 is always pocket 5, etc., etc. Then, once you see that pattern, it becomes so darned easy. Although, from what I found out, Herculean Efforts actually designed this puzzle to where you would have to write things down until you actually saw the pattern. You know, they said that if you just try to do it intuitively, you're only going to get frustrated. Believe me, I did get very frustrated. I tried to, like, add things, subtract things. I just couldn't tell what it was. And when I wrote it down, I suddenly noticed, oh, look at that. Just add 2 to the first one. I kind of thought that it might have been like the Monkey Island gambling puzzle, where the first sign that he shows you, that's the number you need to choose. You know, pay no attention to the second sign. But, no, this one didn't quite follow that pattern. Close, but not quite. Now, actually, with Navy Joe, you can't ask him about rum until you get the idea of getting rum from the fisherman. Again, you need to know about the quest before you can actually ask about the quest. So, that does actually lead to what a lot of people would consider to be dead-end situations or have a hard time figuring it out. Because, in truth, the first one, it didn't have that, where you had to know about the quest before you started the quest. It makes sense, actually. It makes a lot of sense from a real-life point of view. But when I went on to GameFAQs, there was real-life mechanics that, that gamers complain about, and some people were saying it's a game, it doesn't have to follow real life. Oh well, you always get complainers. Oh, now, here is where you had the most people thinking that this game was glitched. These things don't seem to have any connection with one another, but you do have to talk about the curse. Now, I can explain why, actually, but right now, you have to talk to about the curse to this guy, so that this other guy with the umbrella will also continue to talk to you about the curse. And when they talk about the winning formula, from what I've heard, there is no winning formula. You get close to it, but there is no winning formula. You always have that chaos theory. Yeah, in this case, you do have to go through all of them. There is no quick way through this part, which I don't understand it, really. I do not at all understand why they don't just let you skip over this. They do that everywhere else, just not here. Oh well, we got through that. And yeah, the old man will now talk to you about the curse. If you hadn't spoken to the ticket man, you're not going to be able to talk about the curse to this guy, and then the game's unbeatable. Okay, now, actually, when you talk about the curse with him, here's where you get the reason why. Here's where the connection actually comes in. Because he is actually talking about the local gangster who lost the fortune on it. And of course, you also learn who it is that created the curse. So in this case, what you're really doing is you're opening up conversation trees. Well, you do need to know about the gangster. The wizard who did it, I'm sure you've already guessed that, and really it doesn't matter that much. But here, he says that he has the mansion in the middle of town. That's what you actually need to know. That's the connection between this puzzle and the puzzle that comes out later. Actually, in this case, there's another one of the inside jokes if you played the first game. Which means that the optional puzzle that was in the first game does turn out to be canonical. If you can figure out what that little inside joke is, good for you. If not, then, well, I'm not going to be revealing it. Now, what it works out in here is that if you look at the horseshoe, it says that the entire racetrack is not immune to superstition, which is why Sea Cookie, I think his name is, has number 13. It's supposed to explain why it is that he can never win a race, because he's number 13, and 13 in some cultures is an unlucky number. Once again, take the bucket part, massive pixel hunting. And of course, looking at the pegs. Again, massive pixel hunting. But you do need to look at those pegs. Otherwise, you cannot continue on in the game. Now, at this point, you can actually come to this camp at any time and see the scene I chose not to go until now because if you go to the scene too early, it tends to lead to a few problems later on. It's not that you can't finish the game later on if this happens, it's just that you always end up having to wait, so it complicates things, slows things down, and I chose not to deal with that. Club could have come in handy. No. With people, these scrawny people, that's no good. I mean, if you want to use a club, then you need to have the strength to back it up. I mean, the club is pure strength. If you're going to be using things like axes, swords, arrows, then that's finesse and skill. Yeah, your shift is over. Don't make me laugh. It makes me think of my last manager. Your shift is never over. That was her kind of policy. Now, her shift was over just whenever she felt like it. And according to the manager of all of us, that was okay. Now, for the rest of us, if we took a shift off, oh no, that's not okay. Well, enough with that complaining. Right, now you can see why you had to take the quill pen when you did. It looks like Lloyd didn't fly very far. And again, if you didn't actually look at those pegs before, you will not have the option of asking Lloyd to do you a favor. Now, I think that was one of the reasons why a number of people were not able to finish this game. Because of the pixel hunting, and because there are certain things that don't stand out enough for you to really notice. Okay, well, we're done with that part with Lloyd, so of course now it's time to work on the rat problem in the bakery. You know, this section here where you have that pipe that's been chewed up by the rats, I actually had this idea that you were supposed to stick the clay into it and make yourself a makeshift gear. Such was not the case, and really it got pretty frustrating. Now, what I do here, opening up the stoves to see where the rats are. Yeah, I didn't actually, I shouldn't have actually done that after clogging up the stoves. I should have done that beforehand. I just forgot to do so. Luckily, the one that was not blocked up happened to be the one with the rats, but that does actually occur at random in the game. And of course now, open up the stovepipe. I'm guessing that the rats don't like the sound. I don't actually understand why they'd run away from it, but that's what you do. Now, I am betting you anything that that baker will actually continue to use and sell that bread that's been all chewed up by the rats. Yeah, when it comes to bakers, I do know some trivia about them, like why the baker's dozen is 13. Primarily, that just comes from the fact that bakers used to sell their bread by the pound. So, when they were selling things like rolls or muffins or whatnot, the law was that it had to be at least 1 pound. Well, people weren't really good with mathematics, scales were not yet very accurate, so the easiest way to make sure that it was exactly 1 pound when you had 12 rolls or whatever, was just to add in 1 more to make sure that it was a pound. After all, bread's not entirely uniform in its weight anyway, so that's what they would do. They just add in that extra 1 to make sure it was at least a pound, if not more. Oh yeah, and once again, you do need to talk to her about Fool Killer and where it is that he lives. Even though he's always on the map, it is not an option to go there until you find out about him. Now, I don't know what else to talk about right now. I could talk about that fly, I guess, which... sorry about that. That fly that buzzes around. If you wait long enough, he'll actually catch it. Which again, leaves me a question. Have any of you actually caught a fly with your bare hands? I've done it once. And believe me, I was surprised by it. What about you? Have any of you actually caught a fly with your bare hands? Well, I'll wait for you to tell that to me in the comments. So you leave, and boy is this guy efficient. Oh yeah, this little elf character that pops up here, as I write down in text, he really does just pop up at random. You can't talk to him, there's no explanation to who he is or anything. It doesn't really seem to add or remove anything from the game. And Herculean Effort Productions never tells you who he is. So I don't know, maybe one of you happens to know something more about him that I don't, but I think it's just supposed to be an Easter egg. Really, he can show up at any time. You know, he just pops up, and if you're not talking to him, you know, Pib will just say, I wonder who that guy was, or I wonder who that was. In some cases, he'll show up twice in a row. Sometimes he can come hundreds of times and he won't show himself. But the real reason for that was just to get ourselves a costume. Now, in this part of the game, yet another one of those problems that people continue to run into and had to ask about. How do you put on the uniform? I managed to figure out, double-click it inside of the bag, or the book, and that's how you put it on. So yeah, I could see where this game was pretty frustrating. But really and truly, I think it just needed a little fine-tuning. That's all. Okay, now, what I'm doing here is actually breaking one of my rules about being spoiler-free. This is actually just a little Easter egg. Now, this Easter egg, again, it won't help you finish the game or end the game. But I don't know of many people who would actually go through it, or go through this trouble, so I decided to add it in. Yeah, and how many times you have to ask is random. And of course, there's that whole thing that will draw everybody in, a force that no mind can resist, even the strongest of wills can't resist. Free t-shirts. Now we get the free t-shirts. And more pixel hunting. See, even there, when I had it on stocks, it kept going to pencil maker. I mean, just very frustrating there. But, yeah, at least we got them out, and that's the last use we have for the pincers. Yeah, of course, this guy gives you charcoal, which is supposedly what the first pencils were made out of. Some people will actually say, though, that pencils originally were just twigs that you'd sharpen a bit, then burn the tip, and that's how you'd write with them. The graphite pencil is what eventually replaced those, but I don't know who came up with the idea of using graphite. It looks like the girls ran off, which I really and truly wish that you could have been here to see Lloyd take those pins. Maybe the girls get completely soaking wet and run off. That would have been funny. Now here, I actually don't know if you need to have picked up the quill pen to start with, or if he already had one on his own. Because every time I play through it, I just would get the quill pen to start with. Yeah, so maybe you could have gotten it without the quill pen, maybe you couldn't, I don't know. Oh yeah, and here's yet another problem that a lot of people ran into. If you do not talk about the curse at the track and know about the gangster who has the mansion in the middle of the, has a gangster out in the middle of town, well, you cannot give this guy the shirt. You'll just say, I don't think he'd want that. You know, I think that it would have been better if they had said something about, you know, I have no reason to go into town, or I have no reason to give it to him. Or you could give him the shirt, and then he says, what do you want for this? And you can't think of anything at the moment. But they didn't do it that way, and that led to a lot of people questioning, is the game glitched? Well, there we go, in here. Yeah, it would have helped if you could actually see that this is a lemon tree. Because, you know, lemons grow on trees, they do not grow on shrubs. Which led a lot of people to think that you could take this guy's lemon, he says, but go pick your own. Yeah, again, going with game tradition, you usually have to steal things, you know, right out from under somebody's nose. So, I would have to say that that kind of puzzle was kind of unfair. Yeah, so of course you're talking to Lorenzo about the wizard. And now it's here that you actually do need to confirm to Pib who the wizard is. Again, I'm sure you've already figured it out. But Pib is not nearly as smart as the player. Yeah, of course, this guy wants to deny it. That kind of thing. Yeah, with this particular part of the game, I don't much care for it. Yeah, it just sounds like a lot of talk. And the really bad part about this, though, is that this guy's text is purple. I mean, if you think it's hard to read in full screen mode, try reading that when it was, I think it was 320 by 200 now that I think about it. When you have a screen resolution of over 1,000. Yeah. I mean, I finally did manage to read what he was saying. I had to go through this thing a few times to get the idea of what it is that he said, but no, I am not going to read it out here. When I'm doing this narration, it's even harder to read. Like I said, you really can't pass all of this up. It would be easier on me, and I'm sure on any other player, if you could just say, well, that was interesting. Yeah, well, that was interesting, and that's it. You know, conversation's over, not please continue. I mean, you can ask him about the other parts of the race. Oh, do they all fall over? Oh, did they all fall over at the same time? Or why would there be potholes on the track? But that only really causes a delay. If you want to read them, then play the game. Yeah, Hey, this is the one guy that you actually pretty much have to go through all your options to talk to him. You know, to get everything that you need. Yeah. So you need to have a look at that goldfish. Now, really, when it comes to goldfish, something that I learned is that goldfish actually do not have a stomach. So if you feed goldfish, you see that they're spitting out the food. You know, that they're actually spitting out the food that you fed them, that means that you've overfed the goldfish. Feeding goldfish a whole lot at once just clouds the water. It's bad for them. They need to have several small doses of food every day. So, yeah, when this guy hasn't fed the goldfish for a week, that actually could starve a goldfish to death. Now, that line where he says, why not get a spokesperson who could speak, I really thought that this would end up with being, Lloyd becoming a goldfish, and now he's the new spokesperson. That's what I thought. But it turns out that it's not going to happen that way. But at least since the goldfish is dead, now you get the option to get water. Again, this does not make for the purest of water. In fact, according to pet shops, that if you have a dead fish floating around in the water, it really upsets the pH balance. So they can't test it for anything. Now again, going to the tavern, it's one of those things that keeps popping up because you have to keep clicking to get Pib to go somewhere, but the tavern has no purpose. Now, right here, the only reason I go into the bakery is because Navy Joe's not in here. And his appearance is also semi-random. If he's not there, just walk off screen, walk back in screen, and eventually he'll show up like he did here. So, let's see if we can... Right, well, those frustrating things, trying to get into the item book. Believe me, this game could have been so much better with some fine-tuning. Should have got the other one to sign it instead. The other one never says anything, he never does anything. Well, this part where it said, fresh from the tub, you don't have a bathtub. I don't quite get the joke. I mean, I've got some theories about the joke, but... you know, it's just not something that I fully understand. You know, if anything, it just means that it's full of urine. But I don't drink rum. So again, if any of you know the inside joke or what the joke's supposed to be about that one, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Okay, and there you go, you've got your grog. And since I had this open, I remembered to put the charcoal in the lantern. And I have to say, as far as puzzles go, that one seemed to be the one with the most obvious solution. So, of course, now, gotta go up and talk to the master. about, of course, his curse. You know, one thing I would like to see at some point is your master to become more involved in these quests, or more involved with the storyline. Yeah, it's okay that he sends you out on your quest and helps you out a little bit here or there. But I don't know, I just would like to see another character take a more active role. At least then you could see more about, like, say, how powerful he really is. Or find out why he took Piven. Yeah. Yeah, of course you get this little lie. That's about the only thing that's truly established about Master, is that he is such a liar. With fishing stories, the only real fishing story I have is that at one point I caught a fish by accident. I had been fishing at a stream with my brother, and there was this tree that seemed to have a magnetic connection to my fishing line, because more often than not my fishing line would go over that branch on the tree. Well, at one point it ended up going over the branch of the tree, and this fish jumped out of the water, just struggling. And when I was trying to reel in the fishing line, trying to free it from the tree, this fish started sticking its head up out of the water. Eventually we managed to get the line unstuck from the tree and brought in the fish, but that's the one thing about when I've gone fishing that stuck with me. Actually, I think it's better for the fish that I actually did drag it out of the water. Yes, it ends up getting killed, but if you think about it, getting dragged out of the water and suffocating is a much more merciful death than being stuck to that line, because its lips were actually sealed shut by that hook and slowly starving to death. That's the one time that I actually caught a fish by accident. Yeah, now, when it comes to what was being done in the fishing here, I believe this guy a heck of a lot more than I believe Master. How convenient. Well, again, a little flashback of what happened. Again, I think it takes more time than it really should, but I'm the kind of person who prefers the game to be a little more fast-paced. Unless, of course, you have voice acting. I like the voice acting. Uh-huh. Steering rig. Now here comes the frustrating part. Again, pixel hunting. And actually, though, I think this is the way that it really should have been done. When it comes to this, all you need to do is put things back on the diving rig. So what I'm thinking is just that with the diving rig, it's better that you just click on the diving rig. You don't have to look for pegs. Same thing like with the pegs at the horse races. It probably would have been better if you could just look at the tarp and it mentions, oh, that it has pegs. What I don't like about this is that you have to wait for this pirate to get up and say something. You know, why can she not just talk when she's sitting down? Oh well, you're done with that. So, of course, talk to Giselle. And wait for her to get up and start talking. Yeah, actually, it could hurt. You know, from what I've heard, I don't know if it's true or not, with diving suits, if you let a certain valve go into disrepair, the pressure underwater would actually squeeze your entire body up into the helmet. Sounds more like some urban legend, but I don't know. Maybe it actually would happen. And of course, the sea monster has to come and get the book immediately when you get down there. Yeah, the question is really, did Pip faint when he saw the sea monster? Did he pass out because the pressure was too great? It's really, if you go more than 3 feet underwater, or at least your head is 3 feet underwater, it does cause terrible lung pressure. You know, so really, I don't know. Now, when I was playing this game, I had a little bit of a problem on this part as well. What I had thought the potion that you get, the immobilization potion, was actually meant to, you know, be used on the competing centaurs, so that way they can't get they can't run, and therefore you're knowledgeable of who's going to win. But no, you have to use it on yourself. I managed to figure this one out just by continuously clicking everything where it happened to be. Now I have to say, this part of the game is the part that I like the least. It's not so much that it's long, boring, and tedious. It's that because the third game was never released, it makes no sense. I mean, this goes nowhere. Now, as it turns out, I made a mistake here. I thought you needed to find out what they're doing in your item book, but no, actually, you don't. You can just say you don't sound very cheery, and you'll move on from there. See, right here, where they're talking about tampering with the fabric of magic, it sounds like something big was going to happen. Like maybe this was going to come up in the third or maybe even fourth game if they decide to make it. But oh no, this leaves you on the biggest cliffhanger, and it makes it the biggest disappointment. In fact, Something that I would like for you to do is to go on to AGS, go to Herculean Efforts Productions, and let them know you would like Apprentice III to be made. I mean, it was scheduled to come out 2007, and now it's 2016, so it's been 9 years. I don't think they actually have any intention of making it. But I think they need to know people do want Apprentice III to come out. Because, yeah, I would like to see Apprentice III come out. I would like to see what it is that they were going to do with it, and if nothing else, finish the story. I mean, it would be as if I could say, oh, I had this great game, and I was right in the middle of fighting a dragon, and the dragon... And that's it. I don't actually finish the story, and you never find out what happened next. That kind of cliffhanger is just no good. Now, with talking to this bookworm here, you do actually have a little puzzle here. It's all about what it is that you say to him. This particular combination of words that I use, this is the only way to actually take the book from him. Truth is, I actually like this kind of puzzle. It's not quite intuitive, but it's something that you need to really think about it. And that's something that I think is really fun about games. It's like being able to move through that tree of conversation points, until finally you convince them. And of course, you can take the books. Yeah, and this actually makes me wonder about the bookworm. Had he somehow or other pushed all the water out of this well and sealed it behind that valve? If he had, I'd like to know how he did that. And yes, I do admit I forgot to do something. So here we go, though. That rose, after you use the diving rig, you can take it. Personally, I preferred the hidden quest, or the hidden puzzle, in the original one to this one. But at least they did put in that hidden puzzle. One that actually is kind of fun to figure out if you hadn't figured it out on your own. Actually, let me know, do you believe that this is kind of a spoiler? I mean, when I say spoiler-free, it's just that I want you to be able to enjoy the games to their fullest when you actually play them. So let me know, if I find things like this one with the hidden puzzle, should I show you the hidden puzzle, or should I just kind of hint at that's the hidden puzzle and let you finish it from there? Let me know in the comments. Don't get that joke, actually. Let's take the cutlass. Well, I'm guessing these cutlasses are real cutlasses that have been put up there. I mean, for the most part, ornamental swords are not sharpened. I've seen them before. They're blunt, and if they're connected to a shield or something like that in front of them, They're usually bolted in, you know, useless for fighting. But this guy was once a pirate, so maybe he just took his old swords and put them up on the bench there, or up on the wall like that. Cut off the cowlick. Actually, with that diving suit right behind him, it's a little hard to tell that he doesn't have the cowlick anymore.
We like that last scene, since Pip always seems to run into these bittersweet outcomes.
But then again, that cowlick is really an essential part of Pip's character.
Yeah, we really couldn't do away with it. The cowlick differentiates Pip from a sea of generic adventure game leads.
So we decided to use a revised scene instead.
It might be a little out of character, but it's still a cat's pajamas.
Well, that's for you to decide. Roll camera!
Now, take a vote, again in the comments, which game had the better hidden puzzle, Apprentice or Apprentice II? You know, in that kind of explain your reasoning behind it. You know, because I would like to know. Personally, I think Apprentice 1 had the better cutscene. You know, and the better idea. For one thing, I liked the milkmaid's appearance better than Giselle's look. And also, that one wasn't quite as just obvious what you can do. Yeah, I didn't even have to look up what you're supposed to do with Giselle. I just kept trying to take the rose, and eventually I took it and gave it to her. Now this puzzle, what I really thought that you were supposed to do is somehow or other alter the 13. Because I don't see what a blue cup has to do when it comes to having yourself a bit of luck. You know, a 4-leaf clover would have been some kind of luck. Maybe even the chalice, you know, the Holy Grail would have been a bit of luck. But a blue cup? I don't know. That doesn't seem to have any kind of luck to it. You know, this joke where they mention you doze off could have been funnier if they had used a fade. You know, it just kind of fades out rather than it just quickly clips over to the end of the race. That, in my opinion, would have just given it more of the appearance that the player had dozed off. I don't know. I don't think anybody really just suddenly falls asleep without noticing a fade or the eyelids closing or something. That one definitely needed a little bit more fine-tuning. So now we're back at the tower. And if you're questioning why I keep going up there to the load, save, quit thing, it's just because I'm so used to going up to the top of the screen to get into your inventory. Yeah, that's my thinking on the matter. Okay, well, now we have our mountain of gold, or mountain of silver. So, that's 2 down. And we have just 1 more to go into. Now here, you know, the game is a little bit fun to play. Again, I would have preferred it if they expanded on it a bit, like you needed to use the golem for something. But of course, I forgot to get the fire. Oh yeah, you have your charcoal-filled lantern. Oops, I forgot to get the fire from the bookworm. So really, you think that the bookworm's biggest problem would be is The fact that he breathes fire. In fact, I would think they would have to mention something about allergies or, oh, he occasionally almost burns these things with flame. He mentions he has fire breath, but nothing that tells you need to make him sneeze. And this is the most frustrating part of the game when it comes just to timing. Because of that pixel hunting to get into the inventory, it is so difficult to get this, because you only get a few seconds. Finally, I managed to get it, though. Like I said, when you meet him the first time, you can do that. It's better that you do if you don't want to do any backtracking. I just was kind of eager to finish this game at this point, so I had forgotten. So now we can wave the glowing lantern over the cauldron, and we can finish up this part of the game. And finally, the bellows with the cauldron. Yeah, I have to say, with this game, one of the problems that I have with it is just a lot of the jokes are kind of implied, but with them just being implied, you don't actually know if your interpretation of the joke is correct. The way I see it is there's a time for subtlety, and there is a time just to be blatant, and this time I think they need to be more blatant. But we've now created our golem, and thereby we finished our third quest. All he says is bark. Actually, no, you had dead fish water and funny-smelling clay. And I guess the air had some smoke in it. Although I have no idea what fire would be impure about it. Yeah, I guess your next quest would be to fix that bed up. But finally Pib did something right. And he actually did something magical. Of course, in the spirit of Apprentice, all of your tasks were just because your master wanted something. And, of course, just enjoy the end of the game here. Now, I said you can just watch the end of the game, but you may notice that Lord Ironcrow is wearing that wig that you saw him putting on earlier in that optional cutscene. It's just something that I like to point out. That phone. Well, here we are at the end of the game. You know, again, I would like to see Herculean Efforts make a third game, because this one just leaves you on a cliffhanger. I do know Herculean Efforts Productions had worked on a few other games, but they're not in the Apprentice series. I may be doing some of those later on, and I'll let you know which one of those are Herculean Efforts, or they'll put their own logo on it. So, of course, well, I hope you enjoyed the game. Oh yeah, to be continued in Apprentice 3, checkmate. No, apparently it's not. Not for 9 years, at least. Anyway, thank you for watching, and, bum.